We are live.
No, it's how do we start? That's like we didn't talk about this at all.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Be Determined podcast.
Yep. We are going to be making a TNT launcher in Minecraft today. Base bedrock tutorial.
Pretty much.
Dude, okay. Okay, we'll stop joking around.
All right, start now.
Yeah, now we're going. Hello. I'm Xavier Thomas.
I'm Taylor Lockhart. I'm gonna make sure we're recording.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, we're recording.
Okay.
It's really hard to see, but yeah, we're recording.
Yeah, word.
All right, we're good.
Okay. This is gonna be a rough start, but hey.
First episode, we're in the middle of nowhere. It's 90 degrees out.
88, but all right.
88 degrees. This is a podcast.
This is how it goes when two guys have one deep conversation and they're like, we should start a podcast. This is what it looks like directly after that.
Gosh.
Except it's happening with actual camera equipment.
Yes.
Actual nice weather, because it's 88 degrees and it doesn't feel like 88 degrees. It feels great out. So thankful to God that he's letting this happen. Because I mean, it was right before we even started. It started raining out of nowhere, and we had no idea it was going to happen.
I know, for like 25 minutes.
And we thought that was it. For a second, I thought that was going to be it. We're not going to start. We're not going to get anywhere with this.
We're just going to do it in the garage if that would have happened, but it wouldn't have looked as cool.
Yeah, right. We wouldn't have been out here doing it.
Yeah.
But, hey, patience. That's all we had to do.
Yep.
Is be patient, as if we weren't talking about that right before in the car, which is crazy, which is what we're going to get into.
Yes.
But anyway, actual introduction. I'm Xavier Thomas. This is my good friend Taylor. And basically, I've been thinking about starting a podcast for a while now, and I prayed about it for a while, and I didn't know if it was something that like I'd be good at or I would be able to do something with. But I just kept asking God about it and was like, okay, God, if this is something that I'm supposed to do, this is something that I'm supposed to use to share your word with other people, then I know you'll let it happen. Like, I know you'll make a way for it to happen. And now here we are, and it's actually happening, and it's like kind of crazy too. Because what was it, a few months ago, when I started making stuff on TikTok, and I started actually talking about God, and
pretty much you already have a podcast. It's just not one episode on YouTube. Like, pretty much if you put all the clips together that you've been making, like, you pretty much already have a podcast, just a very short version of it. This is pretty much a full-length version of what you've already been talking about.
Exactly.
And I'm just here to kind of bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, and it's been working great so far. Like, we had to stop ourselves in the car a few times while we were waiting for the rain to stop, to be like, okay, we should save this conversation for when the camera is on and we're actually going.
Yes.
And I'm glad that we did too.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like right before, when you texted me that you were on your way, I was like getting the nerves. I was like, okay, this is like about to happen.
I know. I'm kind of nervous because like,
it's like,
yeah. Also have to be like kind of careful, like with what we say and like who we talk about. Like, we got to make sure we don't like dox anybody or out anyone, and you gotta but
keeping names anonymous, and
and we can cut stuff if we need to, and
if we need to stop something, it's easy fix. But I just have a feeling, I have a really good feeling about this, because I was nervous about it for so long, and once we started and we're here now, I'm like, no, I think this is gonna go well, because like I was saying, I was right before when you texted me that you were on your way here, I got the nerves about it, but I was like, I started praying about it, and I was like, God, this is like freaking me out. I was like, I went to him and I was like, this is scary, man. Like, people are gonna like,
because we're talking about like serious stuff, and like some stuff is like hard to talk about, but you know, it could be cool.
But it's like stuff that needs to be talked about. Like that's like one of my biggest goals with this podcast is like, I want to talk about the stuff that no one wants to talk about because of the effect that it's had on my life and the effect that it's had on people that I'm close with. It's like more people should know about that stuff. You know what I mean? And it needs to be talked about more. Like we can't sugarcoat the Bible. Like we can't sugarcoat what Christianity is. One of the biggest mistakes people make about Christianity is that like life gets easier. It definitely doesn't. It is the complete and utter opposite.
It's legit spiritual warfare for your entire life.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It never says in the Bible that being a Christian is easy and like, oh, that, you know, it's just butterflies and rainbows. Like that's far from the truth.
Yeah. No, it's like you're stepping onto a battlefield every single day.
Yeah.
And it's getting like harder and harder.
I can't remember what the exact quote or whatever it was, but like someone said like, oh, if your life is going like super smooth and nothing bad happening to you, that means that the devil likes where you're at.
Yeah. That's really good actually.
Because then like, you know, if you're not, you know, if you're doing what's, you know, if you're doing what God wants you to do, then the devil is going to come at you.
Yeah.
But if you're not, then, you know, your life is going to be super easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, something that someone told me, like when I was going through it a while ago, was that like the devil attacks what he's afraid of.
Yeah.
Like, and he's going to attack you because he's scared of you and he's scared of your potential and the things that God is going to do through you. Like he's going to stop at nothing to stop you from getting to that point.
Yeah.
So if you're not going through spiritual warfare every single day on a crazy level, then you're probably right where the devil has you.
Yeah,
like
you got to kind of like think about like, okay, am I doing something wrong here,
or like, do I need to reevaluate where you're at in life?
Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully that is what we're going to get at, and that's the plan with this whole thing. And speaking of that, like the thing I told you before, I had no idea what like I wanted to talk about initially. But last night, I was at work, and for anyone who does, like, people don't know, I'm a server at Buffalo Wild Wings, and it's rough because at least the location that I'm at, and that Taylor used to be at, because he just left to go in a different job. It was me and him, is what it felt like, 24/7. It was like just us
doing all the work,
doing literally everything. It was rough. Like if a bunch of people came in and we were getting just out of nowhere busy, if it was me and you there, it wasn't a struggle.
Yeah.
Like we were fine.
I was like so much less stressed if I knew you were working, because like, okay, at least somebody else is going to be doing as much as work that I'm doing.
Exactly.
And like helping stock stuff and clean stuff up and do all the dishes and stuff, and I'm not the only one doing all the dishes. It is insane. Literally, like all the cooks in the back would be like, dude, I don't see any other server walk back here.
Dude, like Leo says that to me every single time that I'm back there now. He's like, bro, are you the only server on today? And I'm like, it feels like it, that's for sure.
Dude, I would come back like 30 minutes later. I'm like, there's no way this same rack of dishes is still in the dishwasher.
It's like, I put this in the dishwasher an hour ago. Why is it still here?
Or someone will take it out and they'll put it like on the sink, but won't put them away.
Yeah, just so they can like do their silverware like before they're even cut.
Yeah.
And it's rough. So I was experiencing like the downside of you leaving last night. It was bad, dude. But I had this like before I actually get into that, patience is like the whole topic of today and what we're hopefully going to be talking about, and other stuff that goes with it too.
Yeah.
But specifically, like as servers, you have to have all of the patience in the world.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with people who are like entitled and stuck up and stubborn and sometimes just plain stupid sometimes. But again, patience is something you just have to have.
Yeah. Like legit, like from my job now to being a server, the amount of stuff, like it is so easy compared to the customer service and the stuff that we had to do, and like the amount of like effort, like with the amount like that we would run around and be sweaty and gross and have to like, you know, be super pissed off, but also walk up to a table and be like, how are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And like completely just like shut your emotions off or whatever for a second. It is not an easy job. Not everybody can do it. And like, that's why like some people have tried to like be servers at whatever location and stuff like that, and they didn't last a couple days and they left or whatever because they couldn't handle the smoke and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's not an easy job.
No, like some people are tailored to that.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, obviously, there's jobs that are harder, but like, it's not an easy job.
No, like some people are, like I look at it as like the kind of person that you just are. Like there's a job that fits you, like personality wise, whether or not like you want to be in it or anything like that. There's a job that you specifically will fit into.
Yeah.
Not that like you're meant to do anything like that, but like specifically like for me, being a server, like at least in where we were at, like you have to do a lot by yourself. Like
100%.
We didn't get a lot of like help with stuff. Yeah. And if people did ask like if we need help or if we're okay, it was way past the point.
I know, it was way past the point of like, all right, I don't, not anymore.
Like, right. Yeah. I've said that exact phrase, like, not anymore. Like I did 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago. So, but because of that, like, even before I started working, like that was just like the kind of person that I grew up as. Like I'd always be just kind of dealing with stuff on my own. Yeah. And that stems from like past jobs at like, when I was like a cook at McDonald's for one point. Whoever I was always working with, this one guy, just always would disappear to like not do anything. So I'd be the one taking over. Or like at home, I'd be the only one doing like chores and stuff because I saw that needed to be done and no one else was doing it except for like my mom. But she'd get home from work and then she would go to do it after all that. On top of dealing with 4 kids. Yeah. So, and then on top of like, when it comes into the mental health aspect of it, it's like, as guys, where we don't like have an outlet to like talk to people about stuff. Like it's just not socially acceptable for like a guy to open up about his feelings. People want to say it and push it, but like realistically it's not.
Like there's been times in like relationships where it's like I'm not able to get upset, but you are.
Yeah. I'm
like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty funny. There was something I was gonna say and I forgot. That's what I'm trying to take bullet points on my phone. Talking about patience. There was one part where I was like, oh my gosh, what was I gonna say? It'll come back.
It'll come back when it's needed.
For like people like also doing it, like not doing stuff on purpose because they know somebody else is gonna do it.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, but also like you can also learn to do certain jobs and stuff like that. Like before being a server, I was not as outgoing as I am now and stuff like that. Like when I used to work at Express, the clothing store, I would be terrified to like walk up to customers and ask like, oh, do you guys need anything or whatever, you need any help or something like that.
Yeah.
But like after working at B-Dubs and like constantly walking up to a stranger and asking them what they need and like, you know, being able to like just talk to random people like that, it has helped make me much more outgoing over the years. Like, you know, I have a significant less struggle to walk up to somebody and start a conversation now.
Yeah, and I'm the exact same way. Like I'm not a sociable person at all. Like, before being a server, like I hate social interaction. I still kind of do, but like I'm better at it now. But like I would never go up to someone randomly and talk to them because I need something. I would just kind of like suffer from whatever I was dealing with. I was like, I'm not gonna worry with them with it. Yeah. And now it's like, now I can go up to someone and just say something random or like something I need. It's really teaching you to like advocate for yourself, basically. Yeah. And that's even more into like something that I'm getting at here is that like just last night with that table that I was telling you about, I basically had a table that they came in out the gate. They were just kind of rude, right? Yep. They were being very quick. There was almost like no politeness. Like people don't say like, hey, how you doing? Like, oh, I'm good. How are you doing? There's no like manners anymore. Yeah. And so as a server, you can't say anything about that. You just have to like do your best to like not let that get to you. Yeah. So I did that, and I just asked them how they're doing. Out the gate, they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna do separate checks. I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine, that's easy. And then I had a really like bad image of them already in my head, and I was already having like a really rough day. Yeah. And this did not help at all. And that's like a big problem with me at work. It's like I get really upset with people really fast, and that's a problem that I didn't think I had, was like anger. And working at meetups has like taught me that. It's like I get really mad at people really fast.
There were some days where I was just like not having it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to just punch a hole in the wall.
Yeah. It's like one person says one wrong thing to me, I might just lose my job.
Yeah.
Like, it might happen. Today might be the day, guys.
Or just like the constant level of stress that your head is at when it's in a rush, because like you are thinking about 1,000 things at once, and you're just so stressed, like, oh my gosh, I haven't even gotten to that table yet. It's been 5 minutes already, and just running around like.
Yeah, and then you take someone else who's not on that same stress level, like any of the cashiers or some managers, and they say something to like joke with you about something, and it's like they can't clearly tell that you are like stressed out, and they just say like the wrong thing, and it's like, just give me like 5 minutes and then make that joke again, and then I'll find it funny. But yeah, and there was a lot of that too last night, but I got to at the end of their like halfway through the time they were there, it eventually calmed down, and I started calming down. I was like, okay, let me like relax, because I don't want to be in this. I hate when I get mad, because like I hate being in that mindset, because I think really bad things about people, and I don't like that I do that. So I have to catch myself. And at the start of this table, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put gratuity, like, because I need this guaranteed 18% on their table, because I don't trust them. And I was speaking out of like the anger that I was in. And when I calmed down and everything calmed down, I was like, okay, let me relax a second here, because they're actually really nice. I just was in a mood where I took what they were doing and saying in the wrong way, and they probably didn't mean it like that, because most people don't mean it like that. It just happens. And I also had to remember that, like, okay, I'm not going to put gratuity on them, because I trust that God can provide for me in a way that a guaranteed 18% can't. Like, he's done it before, he's done it a million times, I'm going to trust it now. End of this table, and they leave, and I go to check, like, the slip on it, and there's nothing on the tip. And I was like, okay, maybe they left cash. They left $5, and the check was like 150, 60 bucks. And I'm sitting there looking at this, and I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, all of the anger that I said suppressed just came back up full force. I was furious, but like, dining room was empty, so I was sitting there. I was like staring at it, and I just started cleaning the table. I was like, I need to distract myself, because like, this is, if I sit here and I keep looking at this and I sit in this, it's not going to be good. So I start cleaning the table, and I start going in this back and forth like argument with God in my head, and I'm like I trusted you with this, God. Like, I gave this to you because I know you can provide for me, and it didn't happen. Like
you turned into Job for a second.
Exactly. Like I go straight into Job mode, and I'm like, why? I don't understand. Like, I suppressed everything that I was feeling. I suppressed all the negative energy that I had, and I gave it all to you. So why? And it took me a second, and I had to start just going about my job and taking care of all the tables that were coming in. And I finally had to get to a point where I was like, I had to remember that, like, just the night before, on a Monday night, on like our definitely least busy day, I made like 250 bucks. And I've never made that much on a Monday night before. And I had that like clicked in my head, and I remembered it, and I was like, what am I doing? Like also, like, if one table, there were some times where, like, obviously not all the time I have that mindset, but some days where like it's going fine or whatever, and then one table leaves me, $0 or whatever, I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe somebody else, a different table, gave me extra to cover for that person. And so at the end of the day, it evens out, and it all worked out fine in the end. Yeah, and it's like it's the way that I looked at it, and I understood it was like, God will provide for you because he wants what's best for you, and he wants what's best. He has your best interest in heart, but it's not always going to line up with the way that you want it to happen. Like, it's not always going to be the way that you want it to be, because the way that he's going to provide is going to be in a way that's way better than anything that you could come up with. And that's what I had to like remember. And I had to remember that, like, I have to be, there's two things. I had to be patient, because I need to be patient with God, because one of the things that I got into in my head was like, I told God, I was like, I'm trying to save this money up to go back to school, to go into ministry, to do this thing that I think you're calling me to do. But if this is what happens when I try to do that, then how am I supposed to go into this thing that you have for me? Yeah,
it's frustrating.
And I had to take a step back, and I was like, and I had to trust in trust that his plan for my life was a lot better than anything that I could think of, and I just had to trust that he's going to get me there, but like not in the way that I think all the time. And it's not gonna be like this super easy road, right? It's not gonna be like you're gonna make $200 every single day you go into work. It's gonna be quick, it's gonna be fast. It's some days you're gonna have really rough days, and some days you're gonna have really great days, and sometimes you might have more worse days than good days. But it's all part of the process. Like, you have to go through it, to, like, so to speak, if you're gonna ever get pulled out of it. Like I was saying to you earlier, like, you got to get put through the fire if you ever want to become fireproof. It's the only way it's ever gonna happen. And it's not like you have to put that together yourself either. It's like, God's in the Bible, it talks about it all the time, and I'm gonna try to find the verse that I had about that. Oh, there it is.
But yeah, there'll be some days or whatever that I'll walk in, make $60 or something like that after like 5 hours, and then you go home, and then you'd be frustrated about it. But then like at the end of the month, you'd look at how much you made throughout the entire month. You're like, oh, okay, average, I actually did pretty good. So I gotta kind of remember that, like, those days when you don't like make as much money as that, maybe in the short term it doesn't seem like a good situation, but in the long run, God will have you covered. Right. And you shouldn't worry about it.
Yeah. And the verse that I was talking about was it's James 1:3-4, and it says, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let endurance have its full effect, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. So that part, the testing of your faith produces endurance. Like, that's the whole point of it. It's like, sometimes that your faith is going to get put to the test. Like, you're going to get put through something that is going to test you to see like whether or not your trust in God is stronger than your own like personal doubts, basically. And like, if you were to fail that test, it's not like that's it, like, it's not going to be the only test that you ever have to go through. Chance after chance after chance after chance, because God's a God of grace and forgiveness. Like, that's just who he is. He gives us that chance over and over again. And then when we do get through those tests, that's what builds endurance, and that's what builds us stronger to, like, next time that comes up, now you have experience with it. Now you know what you're doing. Now it's like,
and like, you can help other people that are like, maybe you probably already made it out of that situation, but there's other people going through it, and God puts you in their life so that maybe you can help them through that situation, because maybe someone wasn't able there to help you. But since you've already been through that, then you're like, I've already been through this. I made it out. You can make it out. Exactly. Like, there's so many, like, if you can just think about anything in your life, like hard times or whatever that you had to go through, and obviously during those times you're like, this is the worst my life has ever been. How is it going to get better from this? But then, like, 5 years later you look back at it, and then there's a lot of things where, like, I wouldn't change any of that. Right. If I can go back in time and make sure it didn't happen, I wouldn't, because then it wouldn't make you the person who you are today, which is like so cliche, but it's true for a reason,
Yeah, exactly. Like, with me, it's like a lot of people, at least ours that I've met, high school was like the worst experience of their life. Yeah. And same. High school was awful.
It was so bad. It's either the best or the worst.
Exactly. People either like peak in high school, or like it's the worst experience of their life and they peak after high school. Yeah. Like, there's no in between. I'm very glad to say I did not peak in high school, because like I don't know where I'd be at if I did.
Same.
But but like high school, I won't get into all it now, but like for me, that was when I like discovered basically when I discovered what mental health was, because like I had no idea what it was that I was feeling a lot of times, because like that's when I like realized that I was like suffering from depression, and I was this 15, 16-year-old boy, so I had no idea what I was doing with it, and I had no idea like how to regulate my own emotions. So that took, like, I went down far, to the point where I didn't know where to go, I didn't know what to do, so I just wanted a way out. And I ended up like trying to take my life like twice because I needed some
an
type
escape
of
and just for it to end.
yeah, and like at that point my faith was not a thing. I like grew up in the church, but I never had someone pour into me spiritually to help me understand what it was, and it kept nurturing me throughout high school. I was basically told what it was, left alone for a bit because my family stopped going to church right before I got into freshman year. We just stopped going, so I didn't have anything. And basically, it was this 6-year journey starting in freshman year of like understanding what my emotions were, and eventually I do now. And I'm glad to say like God's fully delivered me from like depression, because I haven't had a depressive episode in like I don't know how long. And it's only because I was able to understand and regulate my emotions through everything that happened, like in a few mental health hospitals and all of this crazy nonsense that I was dealing with. That helped me understand more so that I could go into like my faith more. So when I went into Olivet for that semester in fall of 2022, like now that I had not conquered but gotten to a better place in my mental health wise, now God was going to start working in like my faith wise. And if I hadn't gone through all that, and I hadn't gone through everything that I went through at Olivet and so on and so forth, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. Like I wouldn't be comfortable talking to people about what Jesus did for my life, like did for me. Like I wouldn't be okay doing that, and now I am. And it's all because of what I went through, like because God used that situation to turn like everything that I was going through into something that I could speak into other people's lives. And it's like that's like the whole point. You know what I mean? It's like if you think that you're like not worthy enough, or you're not like good enough to speak into someone's life, like wait for the plane. See those two towers in the distance?
Wait, what?
You don't think?
Why is it getting close?
Why is it going down? The question is, do we cut that out?
You should be good.
Yeah. The question is, do we cut that one out? We'll see. But it's like if you think that like you're not like good enough, or like what you've gone through doesn't qualify you to be able to speak about Jesus and the Word and everything that God is and Christianity is, like it's just not true. Like, because God can use literally anyone to do anything. He has over and over again. Like, I had this one pastor.
I gotta move this chair back.
You're good. I had this one pastor at my old church, Stone, who he always taught. Every time I sit in one of his sermons, it's always a different sermon, but there's always like this one little part that he always keeps, is that he talks about like his past. And he's very open about it. So he used to be this like I don't know if it was ballerina or like some kind of dance or whatever he did, but he went to this like crazy prestigious school, but then he also like was heavily addicted to drugs. And that was like it's part of his life. That's just who he was, addicted to that. And now you see him, and he's this like crazy smart and just spiritually mature pastor that is like, every time he speaks, it's like God is in that person. Like God is moving through that guy to preach in other people's lives. Like, and God can use someone like that and people who've done much, much worse to do crazy, amazing things. Like he's done in the Bible how many times? Like on the later end, Matthew was a tax collector. Like, and then Paul was
executed.
Paul was literally someone who like hunted down and killed Christians. And just for one book, you have the book of like Romans, and that Romans is something. But you see him doing that over and over again. So like nothing that you can do can like pull you away from like, number one, the love that God has for you and what He's done for you, but also like what He has planned for your life. It's just as simple as that.
I'm trying to think of that one pastor that was Mark Clark. He came and did a sermon at Parkview. Like he's another example of that. Like he said he like was in high school or whatever. He's like a 19 years old, a complete atheist, you know, doing drugs and stuff like that. And then he found Christ, turned his entire life around, and now he's a pastor.
Yeah.
And he had Tourette's or whatever, saying the F word and stuff like that. And then like his story is really funny. Like if anyone needs like a good story or like kind of like an inspirational story to bounce that off of, look up Mark Clark on YouTube, because like his story is a prime example of that.
His story is it's really good. Yeah. But and then going into like the patience aspect of it, like another thing that goes right along with it is trust. Because last night when I was going through that with at work, it was patience in God's timing, when he's going to provide and how he's going to provide. But it's also trusting that he's going to, and like trusting that the way he's going to work is better than anything that I could plan. Like one of my favorite verses now is Proverbs 3:5-6, and it's trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own understanding. In all your ways know him, and he will make your paths straight. Like it's the don't rely on your own understanding part. Yeah. It's like a lot of the time stuff is not going to make sense to us. Like the way that God is going to work, oftentimes if anyone has had God work in their life, you can ask them. It's been ways that they don't get. And the same thing with me. Like there's been things that have happened in my life that like, this had to be God. There is no other possible explanation. And you have to trust that fact that like, it might not make sense to me right now because I don't see the whole picture. He painted the picture. So he knows what he's doing. He knows more than what he's doing. Yeah. So it's like, it's something that we got to trust that he knows what he's doing. Yeah. And it's like, even the last part of the verse, and in all your ways know him and he'll make your path straight. All he's asking us to do is just have a relationship with him and trust him. Yeah. Like, all he's asking us to do is every day live our lives for him the best that we can, the best that we know how, and he'll take care of the rest. He'll make sure everything turns out right. Like legit, after like fully trusting that God is going to, like he already knows how my future is going to end and stuff like that. And I've just been so much less stressed about like, you know, what's going to happen in the next 5-10 years and stuff like that, because I already know that he already knows. Yeah. And I can't find the one verse where it says, do not worry because tomorrow can worry about itself. Yep. It's like a paraphrase of it. But yeah. I'm trying to think if I have this like list of verses that I have written down that I've been trying to memorize, and I think I might have that one. But there's one really good one, Romans 8:25. But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. Yes. Yeah. That's like the entirety of it is like, and it's something else that I was thinking about was like, it's when you pray about something and you're asking for it, and it's like, if God has promised it to you, right? You don't go every single day like, all right, God, like when's it gonna happen? Like today, tomorrow? Like I just want to keep praying for it. It's like, if he's already promised it for you and he's already got something planned for you, why would you not just trust him and just be patient for it? Because you know it's coming, you know it's gonna happen, so just wait. Like, it's like the kid in the back of the car, like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Right? It's like, we'll be there when we get there. It's like, when you see your house, we're there. Like, end of discussion. Yeah. But that was a big thing I had to learn with the one girl. Oh, yes. Yeah. That was I don't know when I'm going to get into that on here, but I'll slowly do it now. That was one of the big things that I had to learn, because like when I first met this person, I met this girl, like I prayed about her like every single day, and it was the first time that I had started praying seriously. But it was like every day I'd pray about her, and then eventually God started like speaking to me about her, and I was like, okay, I'm not used to this.
How so?
Like, there would be, I don't want to give too much away.
I know.
But because it's like really specific things. So there are ways that
like I'm asking, so like if anyone kind of like sees this and like, how do I know if what signs to listen to or what signs not to listen to?
Right. So at least one of the, so for me, music is like a massive part of my faith. Because it's like when I first got to Olivet and I started studying ministry, I had my first encounter with like the Holy Spirit for the real first time, not like as a kid and you feel something like kind of cool in worship. It was like this, I don't know how to explain this to someone else. It was during a revival worship service, and I already didn't like worship at all. I would go to church as a
revival
kid.
Worship service?
So it's like, from at least the one that we did at Olivet, they did at Olivet, this guest pastor comes to speak, and the whole point of it, I think, is to like literally revive people's like faith, to like
kind of like a refresh.
Worship. Yeah. It's like constant worship, constant prayer. It can go on for however long. Like, we're just remembering what it is to worship God and to like live for Him. Like, we're trying to just recapture that feeling and revive it in people's hearts. And it worked really well for me because like I had never felt the way that it felt before, and it was through a worship service. And I was one of the kids at church that would like, I just want the worship to be over. I don't know any of these songs. I don't care about this. Like, let's just go. And now it's like my favorite part of church. It's like, I love it so much. So when I met this girl, there was a lot of songs that we connected on, and they were all worship songs. Ones that I like really didn't know or didn't really like know the words to, but somehow like I felt something with these songs. And it was like, I would tell her that I like the song. She'd be like, oh, that's one of my favorite songs. And I'm like, cool, like we relate to it. And then it just kept happening, and I was like, this is like a genre of music that I never listened to before. I never cared about. And all of a sudden, with this one person I'm like connecting with, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just like, it's just a weird connection that we have. Like, maybe it's not actually all that serious. Then I started building this worship playlist of all the songs that I'd be learning. And when I drive a lot, because like it's a 40-minute drive from my house to the school. And the entire time I'm blasting music. And I wouldn't play the worship playlist a lot though. So every now and then I would be in the car, and I talk to God a lot in the car. It's just where it's the like time I have set with God.
This is when you go to pray, like, don't do it out in the open. Like, go into your room, close the door, and, secluded.
And this is like that time that I have. And when I do that, what I would do a lot of the time is I pray about her. I'd be like, all right, God, I do not want to rush this. I don't want to make a mistake. Like, I don't want to make a decision that's going to pull me away from what you might have for me. Like, I don't want to go full on for this girl if you have someone else for me, right? So out the gate, that was my first thought. I was like, I don't want to do that if that's not what you have for me. I would say something like that, and then I'd be like, all right, whatever. I prayed about it. I'm going to sit in worship music for a bit, and I just want to sit in like His presence, and I just want to do that. I'd hit shuffle, and one of the very few songs would come on that I had with her, and I was like, okay. At first few times this happened, I was like, okay, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's whatever. Then every single time I'd pray about her, I would hit shuffle on like 100 and something song playlist. It was like the same song every single time. And I was like, okay, there's coincidence, and then there's like God. Like, it's at least, and I'm at a point now where I'm like, coincidence does not exist. It is purely God working, whether it's like good or not the way you want it to go, because I'm not going to say bad, because it's like, if God's doing it, it's not bad. But it's like a good thing that's like, God has this for you, or it's like, this isn't what God had for you, but let's turn around and make it good. Like that kind of thing. So it's like people trying to say like all the prophecies that Jesus fulfilled was like coincidence. And it's like, it can only be a coincidence so many times. Exactly. When the original documents were written 500 or so years before Jesus went and did all those exact things. Like,
there's only so many things that he could have tried to replicate, because I've heard like some people say like, oh, he like read the Old Testament and then, you know, carried out those things and like did those things to like match with the Old Testament.
Yeah.
But I wish I would have probably prepared for that. But it gets to a point where, you know, okay, this can't just be a coincidence anymore.
Right.
Especially when you die and come back to life.
Yeah, like, well, I don't know about coincidence.
Like that meme I sent you, and it's like the disciples, like they're sitting around the campfire or whatever, and it's like, all right, this is what's gonna happen. We know that Jesus is dead, but we're gonna go and steal his body, and then we're gonna show it to everybody else, to 500 and plus people, and then have them keep the secret that he's back from the dead, and then we're gonna spread that to millions of people.
Yeah, it's like
no,
come on.
Millions of people are not going to keep a secret like that.
No, not at all.
Oh, then we're gonna die. Then we're gonna be killed in the most brutal way possible.
Yeah.
And then one of them is like, oh, but we're gonna get really, really rich before that, right? And he's like, no, we're gonna be homeless. It's like, all right, you know.
Yeah, it's like at one point does it become a little ridiculous. Yeah,
and no one's gonna put their life on the line and die a brutal death for a lie.
Exactly.
Unless
like,
you know it to be absolutely true.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's the point that I got to, as like at one point this can only be coincidence for so long, right? And then it didn't stop. Like it never stopped happening. Like I got so excited about it because I was like, dude, this is looking great. Like if this is what I think this is, then this could be like the person I spend the rest of my life with. And then I got hit with like something that really was my first test, I think, of how much am I willing to trust God. Because I found out, or not found out, but like she started seeing someone.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, huh, okay. And I hadn't learned the lesson of patience yet.
Yeah.
So I saw that and I let it get to me. I was like, okay, that kind of sucks to see. So, and I kind of broke off for a bit. And I was like, okay, I'm going to let them do their thing, because whatever. We were not close enough at that point for it to be whatever. And I ended up being able to put it to the side for a bit. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'll let her be. And then she came back, and out of nowhere. I was at work one day, and then she texted me, and I was like, okay, this is kind of out of nowhere. Found out that they broke up. And I was like, I was very ready to move on from this. Like, and then it came back.
Yeah.
So this might be something. And then we ended up going really close, just out of nowhere, and it just started working again. So I just kept praying about it and asking about it. I was like, okay, God, like that kind of threw me for a loop. I'm not gonna lie. Like I did not think that we were ever gonna like talk again. I just didn't see it happening. So now it's happening again. So I went back to him with like, God, like if this is what you have for me, if this is the person you have for me, I just need you to show me. And if it is, I'll go for it. I'll be patient. I'll wait as long as I have to wait. And I did. And it was interesting because we got really close, and then we weren't close. And I started getting like having to be really careful about what I'm saying. I think I might have already said.
Wait 1 second before you say anything. I just want to make sure that we're chilling on battery. But yes, trying not to get too specific.
Yeah. So
that's like when you gotta kind of have those prayers. Be like, okay, God, is this person supposed to be in my life, or are they not supposed to be in my life? Is this what you want me to do or not? I need you to really, really, really tell me, because I don't want to make the wrong decision here, and I don't want to mess this up or hurt someone's feelings. So I just need you to tell me, like, okay, somehow if this person's not meant to be in my life, remove them. Yeah,
and that is the exact prayer that I had to pray. And I had it praying it like it was, because I just didn't know what was going to happen. And I did. And she like never left. Not fully.
Yeah.
And what I realized for a long time was that if God is going to remove something, he's going to remove it. It's going to be gone completely. It is like, he's either going to let it stay or he's going to completely remove it from your life. And because I wondered for a bit, I was like, we're not like close or anything, but she's still there, you know?
Yeah.
Like she's still present. Like we're still chill with each other. So I guess basically like in the whole, where I'm going to end that at for right now is that like the way that when you're praying about something is you have to be in constant prayer. Like you can't be like a one-time thing and be like, oh, okay, well, I prayed for this one thing, he answered it this way. That's it. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
When it's something is unsure of, when it's something that's not like as set in stone, you really have to be constantly praying about it. But you also have to be like living your life in a way that is purely for God, so that you can see when he does start to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like because when you're doing that, the only way you're going to be able to see the Holy Spirit working is when you are living for God. And when
or working towards the Holy Spirit.
Exactly. And when you're working towards the goal that he has for you, like that's the only way you're going to see it happening.
Yeah.
And because I know in this situation there was a time when I was not doing that and I didn't hear anything, I didn't see anything, and I was wondering at the time, where are you? Like I want to live for you, but like I don't see you anywhere. And it's because I wasn't living for him. I was going in the complete opposite direction. I let something hurt me so bad that I turned from God so hard.
Yeah.
And for like a solid month or so, I almost completely lost my faith.
Yeah. Like there is, like thinking back, there was definitely chapters in my life where I was probably putting God just way in the back of my head. And that's probably why certain things went the way they did. But if I would have just had him in the front and center of everything, then it would have solved all my problems at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I've thought about that so many times. It's like if I would have had God at the front of my focus,
I could have avoided, so much.
I could have avoided so much.
Yeah.
Like, and like with this especially, it's like we'd probably be in a lot better place because I let something get in the way of it. I put God at the back of my mind and put something else in the front of it.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of dealing with the consequences of that and slowly trying to fix it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you're praying for something, you got to keep doing it. It has to be consistent. So number one, that's like one of the biggest things that I would ever tell somebody as a new Christian. If you want to see any type of progress in your walk with God, consistency every day.
It's literally, it's like anything else. Going to the gym, be consistent. Like any habit's going to take more than 30 days to, be secure.
Right.
Like when I tried reading the Word every single day, I'm still doing it, but not as much as I was when I still did it. But because now that I got my new job, I have to wake up. Like I usually would do it in the morning when I'm drinking my coffee, but now that I have to wake up at 7 instead of 10 o'clock, I'm like so much more in a rush where I haven't been doing it in the morning as much. So I'll like kind of just read like a couple verses or whatever while I'm brushing my teeth or stuff like that. But I got to, for the longest time, I had like a 180-day streak or something like that where I was reading at least a chapter every single morning. But it's literally just like, it's also just as hard to kind of break a habit.
Yeah.
But you got to do it every single day. It usually takes at least 30 days for a habit to be fully made.
Right.
So if you can try it for 30 days, even just reading a chapter, which takes 2 minutes, even having the Bible app reading it for you, whatever.
Yeah.
If you're not like you're that good at reading like I am, just have it play and read along with it, and just do a chapter a day.
Yep.
Start in John for 30 days and just see what happens.
Yeah, and that's a big mistake a lot of people make is like they start in Genesis.
And it's hard.
And that is hard to do.
Yeah.
That is very hard to do. Like, the best thing that you can do as a new Christian.
Your first time around, you should not start in Genesis.
No. The best thing that you can do as like a new Christian is learn about the guy that died for you.
Yeah.
Like, learn about like the whole reason that we do this, right? It's read the Gospels first. Start there. Like right now, I'm about to finish Mark, and I finished Matthew a little bit ago, and I'm on Mark now, and I'm reading through all of them. And it's crazy because I'm also watching The Chosen at the same time, so it's like seeing the parallels is really cool.
Yeah.
Because I think I read about Jesus walking out to the disciples, and then Peter getting out of the boat and walking, and then I watched it in The Chosen, and I was like, I just read that.
Like when he fell asleep in the boat.
Yeah.
And then like in the storm. Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I just read that this morning. This is so cool.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's such a good show. I think I was on season 3 and I stopped, but I got to finish it because season 4 is like coming out.
Season 4 is out.
The whole thing?
I think so.
Or I think they were dropping them every week or something like that.
Something like that.
I don't know.
Oh yeah. Because that just came out, and they're filming season 5, which is, jeez, crazy. There's a lot, so I mean, they're gonna be there for a minute.
Wait, so season 4 is not when he gets crucified?
I guess not, because they're filming a whole new season. So like, well then again, because like I'm reading it in here, and it's like quick, it's fast.
I know, yeah.
I guess, and then you're watching The Chosen, it's like, didn't this happen directly after that? And it's like, no, because they're doing all this other stuff with like all these other side characters, and it's like,
which is cool because like it shows them like such more personality. Like now, like when I read the Gospels and kind of think about the show, it like puts so much more behind them.
Yeah, I think you said before, like after watching The Chosen and reading Matthew, it's like, yep, that is exactly how he.
Yes.
that is Matthew. Like I can see this as a person.
It's so good. I hope they do a season for the entire book, for the entire Bible. That would be so cool. Like that one little clip that they had of Moses or whatever, forging the serpent staff.
Yeah.
That just got me so hyped.
That was like, let's get like all of Moses. That would be awesome. They just did good. All of it. That'd be amazing. But hey,
what else?
I don't know.
Let's see how long we've been going for.
You've been timing it.
I had a stopwatch going. 50 minutes.
50 minutes. That does not feel like it. All right.
Should we call it?
I think we should probably call it there.
All right.
So, I think next time we'll definitely have
some more topics.
A little more like structure to it.
If some stuff like pops up or whatever throughout like the week, a couple weeks or whatever, just like have a thing on the notes app where you can put bullet points on. Yeah. So that you can remember to come back and talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, my hope also is like I want to talk about stuff that people have questions about. Like because obviously I'm planning on posting this on like TikTok, Instagram,
and if
Facebook,
people have like
all
comments
of that.
And stuff.
That if anyone has like, I'll try to post like a clip from it that I find good. If we have any good clips, we'll see.
Oh, gosh,
I don't know. We'll see. But if we have anything like that,
there's no audio.
Oh, I thought that like halfway through. I was like, what if it's not picking anything up? And we've been sitting here talking.
It's just like.
But yeah, I'm hoping that someone. Well, the thing is, I was praying about it right before we came here, and I was like, God, I just want to reach one person. Yeah. Like, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's like someone that I know.
Literally, if one person in a TikTok comments like has a question about something, it's worth it.
Like that means like God worked through one person. At least He got to one person, and that's all I care about. Yeah. Like if we can make heaven a little bigger by one person, all I care about, because that's one person that's up there and not down there.
And like, just a disclaimer, like we are not Bible scholars.
Absolutely not.
We know far from everything, you know.
Yeah, so we're doing this as we're learning.
Also learning too. So
yeah,
we don't have all the answers as well, but you know, if you watch enough Cliff Netchell, then you'll
end up here.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah, is to go to college campuses and start preaching to people and get into like debates and everything.
Or Charlie awesome. Kirk as well. Have you seen him?
I don't think so.
You should look him up. He's been doing the same thing, kind of like, you know how like Steven Crowder has the change my mind thing. He kind of has something like that, but like a lot about faith as well.
Really I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Does he talk about like political stuff too?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Okay, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
But
yeah.
all right. Well,
Awesome.
we hope this episode was good. If you have any comments, questions, comment below. Like the video, share it, so you can probably reach out to more people, and hopefully these get better. We'll get better at these as time goes on.
Yeah.
And yeah,